Hi everyone, my name is Chris and I'm an educator at the St. Louis Zoo. It's been pretty rainy at my house lately, but that doesn't have to stop me from going outside and having some fun. Today we're going to learn about some ways to have fun playing in the mud. We're also going to learn about how animals use mud along the way. So let's go! When you find a nice muddy spot, stop for a second and take a good look around. You might find some worms or cool stones in the mud, and you might even see some animal tracks. Let's take a look at some animal tracks you might find on a hike or nature walk near you. This is a deer track. And this print was left by a raccoon. This picture has three kinds of tracks: deer, raccoon, and one more. Can you guess what kind of animal left these prints? I'll give you a hint. It's a bird. And the prints are bigger than the deer tracks or the raccoon tracks, so it must be a large bird. They came from a turkey. You can make prints of your own feet in the mud too. What's different about your footprint and the animal tracks? If you want, you can also make art with your footprints. After you get muddy, just press your foot onto a piece of cardboard or thick paper. You can make handprints too. And of course, it's always fun to splash in puddles.
You gonna splish splash? Stomp stomp?
Did you know that animals also like to get down in the mud? This is one of the St. Louis Zoo's babirussas rolling around in the mud. And this is Moyo, our black rhino calf at the zoo. This video is from a couple years ago when he was a new calf. He's 3 years old now and a lot bigger, but he still likes to roll around in the mud. Getting muddy like this actually helps these animals keep their skin healthy. The mud protects their skin from the sun and from bugs, and it probably feels pretty cool on a hot day. It would take an awfully big patch of mud for an elephant to roll around in, but they can get wet by swimming or spraying themselves with water using their trunks. Then they grab dirt with their trunks and dust it onto their wet backs to coat their skin. If you have some animal figures at home, why not take them outside to play in the mud? You can make them dig and roll around in the mud, they can make footprints, they can splash, whatever you want to do. If you don't have a yard or a good muddy spot to play in, you can always make mud in a big bowl or tub. Just mix some dirt or potting soil with some water. Or you can make your own pretend mud out of cornstarch and water. Another fun way to play in the mud is to set up a mud kitchen. You don't have to have a bench like in this picture. You can just use things that you have around the house. Just make sure to check with a grown-up first. Here are some things I found around my house to use to play in the mud. There are some measuring cups and spoons, a strainer, a flower pot, and a little pitcher for pouring water. I had fun scooping dirt into my strainer and then pouring water over it to see what was hidden inside that muddy dirt. Maybe you've seen the flamingos at the zoo before. They have special beaks that are kind of like strainers. They stir up the mud with their feet and then pump the muddy water into their mouths with their tongues. They have special filters inside their beaks that catch the tiny creatures inside the mud and let the muddy water flow back out. It's also fun to just mush around in the mud with your hands. Do you like the way mud feels? This is an Iberian ribbed newt at the zoo. They are amphibians that live in ponds and streams, and they prefer to stay wet. If the water where they live dries up, they'll bury their whole body in the mud until the pond or stream refills again. Mud is also great for making mud pies and mud castles. You can use scoops or bowls or just your hands to shape the mud. And then you can add sticks or stones or leaves to decorate your creation. What do you think you could make out of mud? Baby barn swallows like these hatch in a nest made out of mud by their parents. Like the barn swallows, mason bees also live here in Missouri and use mud in their nests. This mason bee is sealing up her nest tube to protect her eggs until they're ready to come out as adult bees. So if you have a yard, and especially if you have a bee house or hotel, you can help by making sure that the bees have some mud to cap their nest tubes. The mud should feel kind of like clay or dough, and you should add water to keep it from drying out throughout the spring and summer. I hope you enjoyed learning about some ways to have fun in the mud and about how animals do things in the mud. Thanks for watching!